But this is more like a
sprain my ankle, and that's not the case.
personal.
I actually didn't bring anything because I was already 15 minutes late.
And there's some advantages to
Yeah.
but,
All right.
Okay.
Hey everybody. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I'm right across the hall.
get started here, and I'll try to make this quick because I know we're all pressed for time and everyone's got to get back to work. My name's Dan. I'm the owner of Metro Nova Creative. Again, we do brand development for small businesses, and I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the process I go through with a new client, and kind of the pillars of branding and how that applies to a small business. So much nowadays, branding is much more than just your logo and your visual identity and how things work in your websites, right? The core of it is how you connect emotionally to your customers. Now, most of my clients and most of you are a small business, so you don't have like give a Kardashian a Pepsi to hand them to a cop money for your branding, right? You can't make that thing happen. So we have to find a way that you can make that emotional connection, but within your budget. And the way we do that is by providing you with strong visual identity and strong deliverables and a strong website. So you have pride in your craft, you have pride in your product, and that pride connects to your customers. Because in small business, people aren't buying what you're selling, they're buying you, right? You're selling yourself. And so if we can make you feel good when you walk into a meeting because you've got some great business cards and you're confident in what you have, you can make that emotional connection with the consumer yourself. So that's the way I kind of approach branding for small businesses. And sort of the way I wanted to go through this is I have the pillars of branding that I go through. Now everyone's a little different. I've got 3. I've seen as many as 12. I've got 3. Again, most of my clients are small businesses. They don't have a whole day. They got kids to get back to. Try to make it quick. So I just wanted to burn through those real fast. The first one, pillar 1, is difference. And this is a really personal one for a lot of people. And it's something that's really important that I know about, especially if we're doing a logo. And the difference is I want to know, what's your story? How did you get to this point? What sets you apart? You know, what in your back, did your dad have a button store for your entire life and you decided that, man, you're really jazzed about buttons. Like, so you started a button company. You know, I want to know those things because that story and where you come from is going to be so much a part of how you connect to people, right? And it's great. We can use those stories and those moments to create the emotional connections on social media and Instagram with videos and things like that. So I'd like to try to keep all those things in mind, even if I'm just doing a logo, because in my world, you have to have forward vision. You have to think to 5 projects down the road. So, and part of the difference for the pillar 1 difference is I give people a SWOT analysis. I don't request that they provide the answers. Is everyone familiar with what a SWOT is? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just, if you don't, SWOT is your strength, your weakness, an opportunity, and a threat. And now, obviously, I don't expect people to have their dry erase board and give me the answers in the middle of a Starbucks, but I say, think about these things so that as we progress through the project, it's something that's in the back of your mind. Because it does help kind of guide the answer of your difference, right? And so at Metro Nova Creative, our difference is that I have a background in print and sign production design, did it for a decade, and time again, I would see clients come in that are small business owners, and I'd say, give me your vector file for your logo, and they'd give me I don't know, I got a picture of it on my cell phone, and it's a scanned JPEG from 7 years ago. I think it was a Google clip art. That works, right? And then no, it's true. That is 100% all the time. Anybody in print, And so coming across this over and over and over again in that industry, and then right around the time that the recession happened, and people that were in careers for a long time, their entire lives, lost their jobs, and were at an age where they couldn't go back to work somewhere else. So what they do, they started their own business. So there was a need, and the difference is I had the understanding that these people needed help, and this country is built on small businesses, and if I can give them every opportunity to succeed, then I'm going to do that. Pillar 2, the purpose. A lot of people like to say the promise on this. I don't necessarily agree with that because we all promise not to give people crap, right? Like we promise not to be like, I'm selling cake, here's a rock. That's not, I think, a necessary thing. I prefer the purpose because it's what problem will you solve for your customer, right? What's your purpose? Why are you doing this? How will you make them feel? and how are you useful? Our purpose at Metro Nova is to, again, provide opportunities to succeed for small businesses, but the thing is that we want to do that within their budget and within their the reality of the project, right? So my purpose is to, somebody comes in and says, I want all of these things, and I said, you have enough for this amount of things, or quite honestly, I'll tell somebody, don't buy that. I'm not going to sell it to you because it's unnecessary. So our purpose is to guide people, not just doing logos and websites and things like that, but I'm also here to guide people through those kind of early stages of figuring things out when they're trying to brand their small business. So, pillar 3 is the target persona, and this one is the hardest for small business owners to really understand and bring in. And the target persona is quite literally, who is your target demographic? Who are you trying to sell your product to? And I'll give a couple stories. There's an HVAC company that we do work for, and we're going to start doing some SEO services and some branding work and work on their site and things. And I said, who's your target persona? And he goes, I don't know, man, like anybody with a house. Okay, well, you don't have anybody with a house money, so let's reverse engineer, right? Like, so I tell people a lot, like it's very important to have that vision, that goal, where you want to be in 5 years, but you need to start here. And so I said, when customers call to get their HVAC serviced, is it the husband, is it the wife, is it a man, is it a woman, what is it? Basically what we got to at the end of this conversation was his target persona was a mother of 1 to 2 kids in the suburbs in their mid to late 30s.
Yep, I can see that.
Right? Even when the husband calls, it's because she told him, call the damn HVAC guy. You're not going to fix it.
Exactly.
And so, right?
Doesn't
And
happen
so-
all the time like that. Yeah.
Hey, Evan, did your wife tell you to call Gene about that electrical problem?
No, I call it. Not electrical problem.
So-
No problem.
So the idea here is that we know now that that's a target persona that we want to try to attract as a customer, right? So we can take that knowledge and go onto Facebook or whatever it is and provide content that's going to be engaging for that particular person, right? You want to give them a positive experience and give them that emotional connection. So if you put on Facebook, say you're an HVAC company, you put on Facebook like, hey, don't use those green 3M filters that are super cheap, drop some sugar on it and see it all fall out the bottom. That person sees that on that Facebook post and goes, holy crap, I have a house full of those green 3M filters. And then they go tell their friends, and they're very passionate, excited, and proud of themselves that they found this great information that they get to share with their family and friends. That's the emotional connection you just made with that customer. So I say a lot with small businesses that don't have that massive marketing budget. They don't have Pepsi and Kardashian money. Make your customers grow your business for you, right? Do good by the small target persona. They'll tell their family and friends and neighbors. And they'll tell those people, and they'll tell those people. Make it organic and make it true. So that's kind of how I approach a lot of those processes when I'm dealing with a client. For Metro Nova Creative, we kind of went through a similar thing about a year or two ago, where the company was really at a pivot point, and I saw that within the year it was going to be a very different, ballpark playing field for what we do. And so I stopped and I went back through all my invoices and customer lists and looked at who the buyer were and looked at the recurring revenue model stuff, looked at who's buying what and how often. And what I found was that my target persona was women who own businesses. I said, oh, that's surprising. Like, I feel like I talk to a lot of guys, and I'm also a dude. And but it turned out, I mean, no, that's what it was. I had a lot of female business owners that were excited and interested in the value of visual identity and logos. And we create Pinterest boards. Like, if you want to get a logo, I create a Pinterest board, and we all get to find patterns and do cool stuff and do that inspiration board. And so I went online and I said, okay, well, I gotta cater my social media and my branding to this demographic to see if that works. And I went on Google and I looked up women's culture, whatever. Internet sucks for you guys. It was like 5 pages of how to please your man in shoes. Don't know how I know you like that second part, but it was just like, okay, I can't just post about shoes on my business page for, so, well, I mean, maybe I could, but So I went on my own personal, and I, guys, as small business owners, use your own personal social media accounts to leverage clients. I went on my own account and I said, women of the internet, what do you want to read? And something amazing happened. I didn't have to spend $10,000 with a marketing firm. A bunch of women said, we like to read this stuff. And I went, cool. And that's what I shared. And we grew a client base and we grew a positive online experience for them. And they found joy and appreciation in that. And they do my referrals for me. It's as simple as that. Just ask. That's all you have to do. Just ask people, I want to sell you something. What can I give you that's value to you? Plain and simple. That kind of wraps up, you know, like I said, I wanted to speed through this a little bit, so I'm not keeping you guys all, but that basically wraps it all up. But do we have time for a couple Q&A?
Yeah.
For a couple minutes? So if anybody has a question that maybe I can help you with.
I would take Linda Senna's card off that table, which is towards this end, bottom row.
Wow.
And I would
She studies it.
contact her
Yeah.
about teaching a class at STA Title and Escrow and
Okay.
Branding.
Any other questions? All right. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate your time.
Awesome.
Ryan
Thank
sends
you.
his regards.